Hello, my name is Shannon Beckman. Today I'm going to be discussing with you how to create a virtual lab environment on your home desktop or laptop. You may ask yourself, why do you need a virtual environment? Virtual lab environments are the perfect place for IT students and IT professionals to hone their skills and to learn about vulnerabilities and how machines are exploited. The virtual environment allows the exploitation of machines without running the risk that you would normally associate with a live machine that may contain vulnerable data that can be compromised. So the steps of the process. First off, I'm going to show you all of the software we're going to need, as well as where you can download that at. I'm going to show you how to start the virtualization software. Once it's up and running, I'll show you how to install Kali Linux, which is usually the offensive or attack machine, as well as a version of Linux called DVL, which is Damn Vulnerable Linux. It's a distribution of Linux that's designed to help IT students learn about the vulnerabilities within an operating system. And then, of course, you can begin using the virtual environment. The hardware you're going to need, any desktop or laptop will do, as long as it's within the last 3 or 4 years. It does not matter if you're running a Windows or a Mac operating system. Currently, for the example today, I'll be running on a Windows 8.1 system. The machine that will be holding the virtual environment is referred to as the host system. That's the machine that runs the virtualization software. All other operating systems will be housed within that virtual environment. Of course, depending on which host platform you're using will dictate a little bit toward which type of virtual environment software you will use. And of course, some people prefer other versions of software just because they're used to it. The most common two types that are generally associated with virtualization is VMware and VirtualBox. VMware is widely distributed in the United States to many colleges for the use of helping students learn how these operating systems work. And VirtualBox is generally considered the best open source software out there. There are free versions of both VMware and VirtualBox, but VMware, most of its offerings are geared more toward the commercial side, and so a lot of their product software to have full usability is something you will have to pay for. Currently today, I'm going to be running VMware Workstation 10. And then, of course, the other software we're going to need is our attack and our exploitation operating systems. As I explained, we're going to be downloading Kali Linux as our attack machine and Damn Vulnerable Linux as the exploitation machine. VMware, a little bit more about it. It's considered one of the industry-leading manufacturers of virtualization software. They offer many different distributions, so it really all depends on your needs or your organization's needs to what type of software you can download. And their free version that anybody can download is called VMware Player. It has a lot of the same functionality as Workstation, which is what I'll be using today, but it doesn't come with all of the functionality. So you can go to VMware.com, and under the downloads heading, I'll go ahead and click on that. As you can see, there are a lot of many different versions of VMware software. They have things for data centers and cloud infrastructure and servers, which they call vSphere. If you were a Rose State college student, you may be familiar with that system. It's used widely on that campus. For those of us who went to Oklahoma City Community College or OSU IT, I believe, also offers VMware. Most of us will be used to using the workstation, and that one is down here at the bottom of the list. And this is a product you have to pay for, but there is a 30-day trial that you can download and use for 30 days for free. If you are using a Mac, the VMware Fusion is the Mac version, and it also comes with a 30-day trial. Now on to VirtualBox. Some people prefer VirtualBox. I haven't used it that much, but from what I've heard, it's a pretty good product. It's produced by Oracle, and as I said, it is an open source software, so not only can you download and keep it for free forever, because it is open source, they actually post the source code on the website. But as you'll see over here on the left hand side, we have downloads. The VirtualBox does not offer as many different forms and distributions of their software, but what they do offer is 100% free. And as I said here at the bottom, you can download the source code. If you're a programmer and you want to design your own distribution, it is available. It's a pretty good product, but as I said, I have not used it a whole lot, so I'm going to stick with the VMware for this project. So the operating systems, as I've said before, we're going to be using Kali Linux as well as DVL. Kali Linux is at kali.org. When you come here up at the top, you can hit the downloads button, and you will make sure to choose what bit if you're running a Windows system such as that I'm running a 64-bit Windows 8.1 version, so we're going to download the 64-bit ISO, and because VMware works with the ISO, I can download the ISO, so make sure to click on the ISO, not the torrent. And if you're running a Windows system that's 32-bit, make sure to click on the ISO for the 32-bit version. I've already downloaded this software. It's 2.8 gigabytes, I recall. 2.9. And it does take quite a while to download. I believe earlier it took a little over 20 minutes for me to download that, which is not too bad. I don't think everybody wants to sit through that and watch me download my software, so I've already downloaded it. The DVL, the Damn Vulnerable Linux, as I said, is a distribution of Linux that is designed for students in order to learn the vulnerabilities that are out there on an operating system and how those operating systems are exploited. If you know how they're exploited, you can better defend them. And to download the DVL, click down here under the download section. I believe it was 1.7 gigabytes. Didn't take as long as the Kali Linux, but I've already pre-downloaded those. So now I'm going to show you how we operate the VMware. Double click on your desktop icon. Here's the workstation, and we're going to create a new virtual machine. You can go with the typical, which would be fine if this is your first time and you've never installed any operating systems in a virtual environment, but I'm going to go with the custom environment. It allows a little bit more control over the options of how the operating system is installed. When you get to this section, we want to install from a disk image, which is the ISO files that were downloaded from the previous links. So I'm going to click on my Kali Linux. I'm going to install that first. I'm going to make sure to call that Kali. And I'm currently running a quad-core processor, but I'm going to just show that it's allowed this system to use 2 of those cores. I like to put at least 2 gigabytes of virtual RAM with these systems. That'll allow all the functionality we need. We can leave it as a NAT, make sure we have internet connection. We need to use their web browser, which is called Iceweasel. All the other settings look to be the same. We're going to leave it as creating a 20 gigabyte virtual hard drive within this machine. We're not going to be doing a lot of downloading or installing a lot of extras, so 20 gigabytes is going to be fine. So now you can review all of your settings. As I said, we got 2 gigabytes of RAM. We allowed it a 20 gigabyte hard drive. It's a Debian version of Linux, even though it's Kali Linux. It's based upon the Debian. So we're going to go ahead and install that. And I left the option to power on the machine as soon as it's done installing. This should only take a few minutes. But while we're waiting on that, I want to show you a couple other things. I have a Windows Server 2008 as well as a older version of Debian that I've already previously installed into my VMware, just to show that in the VMware environment it'll accept virtually any operating system software. So if you have some old Windows XP machines you would like to exploit and learn a little bit more about, or older Windows Vista machine, the VMware environment will allow you to install all of those. So the installation process is running now. As I said, this software is really good for a home lab environment. If you're a college student, such as myself, trying to learn a few of the intricacies of the ins and outs of how hackers could attack your system and how to better harden your system to protect that. Once you get out in the working field, you wouldn't want to learn on the service machines that you're in charge of protecting. So installing these operating systems within a virtual environment is the perfect way to go. As you see, we've already gotten our Kali Linux installed. The operating system is up and running. The Kali Linux comes with quite a few tools already pre-installed. You may be familiar with Ettercap or the Wireshark. You can find those here under the Kali Linux. There is all kinds of useful attack vector tools that are here. Most of them are pre-installed and ready to go. Showing you how to use all these tools is going to be beyond the exercise today, but I wanted you to be aware that they're here within the Kali Linux and the uses of Kali Linux and why it's such a good distribution of Linux. So now I'm going to go on back. I'm going to create another virtual machine, and we're going to install the DVL. So when we get here, we're going to browse back to the file where we have our ISOs. I'm going to choose the DVL. So Linux version. I'm going to call it DVL, Damn Vulnerable Linux. Although I'm not going to be doing much with this system, if you have ran through this and you've exploited it a few times, and you may want to go in to that application and harden it a little bit more, try to step your skills up a little bit. It's perfectly good. You can do anything to these virtual machines, and if you get a little too carried away, you can always just delete that whole operating system, reinstall your operating system with the ISO file. Once again, have a brand new machine, perfectly ready to start again from the very beginning. We're going to go ahead and fire the DVL machine up. A little bit of background about DVL. Damn Vulnerable Linux, as I mentioned, is a distribution of Linux that is designed especially to be vulnerable. So this operating system has left several holes within its security net that allow students to penetrate these using the tools that are on the Kali Linux. So if this allows IT students to better understand the ins and outs of why these tools are working and what they're doing in the background. And by understanding that better, of course, in the future, it'll help you better defend your machines when you're out in the workforce. So, Damn Vulnerable Linux is the perfect place for first-time students to begin. It's a great distribution. Once you get past that, there are, especially in the Linux suite, there are literally hundreds of different distributions out there. You can install every single one of them and put them in here in your virtual environment, and you can run them from your virtual environment, or, as I said, attack them from your Kali machine. So that concludes the installation process for all of our machines. So as I said, the VMware environment is perfect for IT students to learn more about different operating systems and how they are attacked by hackers, as well as how to better defend them. I hope you enjoyed my presentation today, and I look forward to hearing from your feedback.